So I got into a conversation the other day. Um, Actually, I get into this conversation about every day. Somebody is playing victim, wanting to cry about something. Which which generation do you think cries victim more than the other generations?
Probably millennials.
Millennials. I don't know. To be completely honest, I don't think you can really break it up into any generation. Every single generation cries about something because I mean, zillennials, they all say how they can't find a job and this stuff. I mean, Gen X's cry about something. I
Hmm.
mean, boomers cry about something. But I'm hearing all these people cry about how bad it was and how horrible it was and how rough it was. And it's always somebody had it so bad,
Yeah.
and I'm just not getting it. It's just it is life really that bad for people?
Well, I mean, is my mic on?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, well, I think it just depends on the person because most people, I mean, somebody could stub their toe and that's the worst thing that's ever happened to them, but it's traumatic or something. I'm not saying that the people are that shallow, but or not shallow, victimizing of themselves. But I don't think everybody's perspective of what's really traumatizing is the same, but you've got people who've gone through really traumatic situations that don't whine and complain as much as somebody who hasn't really gone through that much as of anything.
I mean, it's like I see these people that I just I have I admit I lack empathy for a lot of people that they'll sit there and go through a divorce and it's like the end of the world. I mean, I've seen people try to commit suicide because of a divorce, and that wasn't even their own divorce,
Yeah.
and I just don't understand it. Though, like, it's the end of the world, and it's just, I mean, the world has so much to offer. Everything has so many lessons in it. And people are just trying to play victim so much. I remember I was having this conversation with this woman. This was a couple of years ago. This beautiful, beautiful model. She was a model for Maxim magazine. She was a black model, and it was between me, her, and this other black gentleman. And she said to me, she said, "You just don't understand what it's like to go to school and feel like nobody wants you." She said that to me.
Yeah.
And
Only she knew
that's
before
the
she said
thing,
that.
is that people assume, based on what they see on how your life is, because they can only picture you based on what you look like and how you appear,
Yeah.
and they
If you're
think that
not,
that's what your life is.
yeah, if you're not boo-hooing about something, even you've obviously never had anything bad happen.
Exactly. People assume my life is just great because I don't sit there and carry my scars like the world is so horrible. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, I've been trying to write a book about my life, but I keep starting over because I'm like, people aren't going to believe it.
Yeah.
It's just unreal. I finally had to get a ghostwriter, and she said that she had to start all over because she can't write it like a normal story, because she said it would be unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've had a lot of things happen, so it
It's like, before I was even 6 years old, I had to before I could even ride a bike, my stepfather, who was who by the way is was a church minister. You know, he went to church, and he was very big into the church. He was teaching me how to hunt people, or to be hunted.
Yeah.
He traded weapons with me, with a rifle, an air rifle. I mean, I believe it was probably just a 22, but and a slingshot. We would trade, and I was between 5.5, 6 years old, and we lived in an abandoned farmhouse, and we would hide somewhere between the farmhouse. I remember being in the hayloft that was infested by snakes. I mean, literally infested. I would constantly see these snakes just crawling all over the place. To this day, I have no fear of snakes because of it, because I realize that most of the time they leave you alone. And I remember him hit me with a slingshot in the ankle, and it hit me in the ankle. I was up in the hayloft, and so I reached up. Sorry, that's very redneck of me. I reached up, and I aimed, and I shot him, and I hit him because he jumped up and stuff, and I only have another flash memory of me running one time and him hitting me in the thigh, and I still have a scar in my thigh where he had hit me.
Yeah, with the rifle.
With the rifle, and there were memories I have of my childhood. I remember one time when we had a well that it had gone soured, and it was a little hole that only I could fit in, and they'd lowered me into this well, this dark well, to find what was in this well
that was making the water.
That was making the water sour, and I had to go into the well to dig out this dead animal, so the water wasn't soured anymore. This little 5.5, 6-year-old child.
Yeah.
And here are these people thinking that I had some type of privilege.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sitting there crying
boo-hooing about it.
Boo-hooing about it.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's people who've been through traumatic events like you and like me, we truly don't let it show when we're having issues, or that we have issues with things, until we tell somebody else our story, or even a little bit of our story. Like, it just popped in my head about this, but like my sister, Cheyenne, and I joke about it, about there's that meme where it's like you're telling somebody about an event that happened in your childhood, and you're acting all fine, but in the next picture is like a person that's like shocked because they're like, they can't believe this happened, and you're just talking like it's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm getting at is most people who've been through traumatic events and have dealt with it, or don't let it get to them, they're okay with talking about it. But those, honestly, who overreact to their traumatic events, or their non-traumatic events compared to what, you've been through or I've been through, they will overreact to it because a lot of times it's just they want attention. It could be just my personal thing and I'm saying there are some people who really do react to their traumatic events and have that. They're not looking for anything. What I'm saying is a lot of these,
I think some people want somebody to respond to them.
Yes.
It's not they're just needing attention. It's they want some help, and that's the only way they can get it. So it's not that it's poor me. It's just that they really want. It's kind of like that person that acts suicidal. They really are suicidal. It's just that they're acting that way because they want somebody to come and rescue.
You knew what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm just really bad with words on how to explain things. Like your childhood was a lot worse than mine. I mean, and everybody's childhood is
very relative.
Relative, yes. But your stepdad hunted you and taught you how to hunt a human. I mean, having to hide, track them, and shoot them. with whatever weapon you had, either a slingshot or a gun. And that, to some people, they wouldn't be able to function like a normal human being.
It taught me how to be a different person. It's we just, like yesterday, we had to schedule my surgery. I have to have surgery for a deviated septum, and the doctor had asked me how it happened.
Have you ever been punched
have
in
you
the
ever
face?
been punched in the face? And he assumed because I was a police officer, and I said, actually, I'd never been punched in the face as an officer. I was like, I can remember that I'd only been punched in the face one time, and that was when I was 8 years old. My mother's step boyfriend, he tried punching my mother, and I got in front of him, and I wouldn't let him punch him. I took the punch, and he just looked at me, and I just said it very nonchalantly because I thought that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. And when my best friend, he's a Bixby police officer, he said it, and he adopted a girl who had lived in traumatic events and stuff.
Yeah,
and
she
so
went through
she was
some
in
stuff.
foster care system, and I'd never got to go through counseling or anything, so I don't know much about any of it through counseling, other than what I learned through psychology classes in college. But he'd said that most kids that had gone through traumatic events don't know that it was that bad.
Yeah.
Because it was just normal for them, and he's right. We didn't know it was bad.
Those that have never had a chance to know what a normal childhood is don't see their childhood as not normal.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
realize. It's funny seeing a lot of people talk about Gen X, and of course I was Gen X.
I'm a millennial.
And you're a millennial. There's a lot of things that it coincides with the way I grew up, but it was, Gen X, me growing up, well, that was normal for me, but of course mine was a little worse. I got locked out, but it was for days at a time.
Yeah, and then like they say millennials, grew up with technology. I mean, I didn't have. I'm an older millennial.
Yeah.
I didn't, and then of course, I also grew up with a Gen X brother and a Gen X sister.
And you were also in the mountains without technology. Or
I didn't have. We grew up with solar power, and it's not all that it's cracked up to be. At least back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was no. I mean, could I do it again? Yes, if I have to, but I don't want to. I didn't grow up with all the technology that most people my age have grew up with. So I do, what's the word?
Adapt.
But no, with Gen X. When I do relate. There we go. Why can't I think tonight?
I don't know. It's a millennial thing.
Yeah.
Thinking. It's not your strong point.
Some people's. But so I can relate with Gen X, and the fact that I didn't have, like computers and stuff to entertain me. I was outside climbing mountains and going into the woods by myself with a dog. I mean, that's how I grew up. I didn't have parents that would always watch over and be overprotective. I had my parents up until I was 16.
Helicopter parents weren't.
Yeah, I didn't have helicopter parents.
Yeah.
I had a controlling parent, but not a helicopter parent.
I think Gen X parents started becoming the helicopter parents because we didn't have. Yeah, we overcompensated. A lot of us that didn't have parents didn't want to be the parents that weren't there, and so we were like, oh, we didn't, which is sad. I wouldn't be that guy because I knew it taught us something.
Yeah.
So therefore, I allowed it teaching my daughter. I said, well, let her fall, let her hit her head.
Yeah.
But a lot of people weren't like that. But still, getting back to what we were talking about, the victim mentality.
Yeah, sorry, I was going somewhere with what I was saying. I can't remember.
Too far on a tangent. This victim mentality it's destroying everything. It's destroying a nation. People are crying and boohooing about everything, and it's not that they don't have a reason. it's just
They have no coping
it's
mechanisms.
yeah, they're destroying their own. They're taking their reason. Yes, you may have a reason to cry. It's like when my daughter hurts her head. Yes, she has a reason to cry, but that doesn't mean you should cry.
And she doesn't cry until she has an audience.
Yes, I mean that's typical.
Yeah. And you could, the other day when she fell and, hurt herself, she jumps up, she's like, I'm fine. And then she takes one look in the mirror, and we're right there beside her, and she takes one look in the mirror and she starts bawling. I mean, I know she was looking for comfort, but she wasn't hurt.
And that's the way a lot of people are. And the fact is that you've got to come up with the decision. Do you want the audience and the notoriety that yes, it's these other people's fault, you are a victim, or do you want to overcome it and make your life better?
Yeah.
Do you want people to agree that it's their fault, or do you want to actually make your life better? Because you can't have both.
If you fall back on it's always somebody else's fault that your life is the way it is, you'll never move forward.
No. I mean, I can blame my parents. I can blame my aunt and uncle. I can blame my family. You know, I can blame a lot of people for the things that happened in my life. But it's not going to make anything better. It's just going to give an excuse that I could be happy and justified for the reason my life is the way it is. But so what?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for you your mental state or you personally and helping you grow to be a better person. If you stick in that rut of poor pitiful me, this happened because of this, nothing changes. You're going to get stuck in that rut forever. But if you actually go, okay, let's find a way to work through this, letting go of the hatred or the guilt or whatever you want to call it of whatever that person did or whatever you did, it's a step towards not being a victim anymore. And, like I see it as you can continue to let that person hurt you by keeping yourself a victim.
Yeah.
Or you can move on and just grow from it. And, you don't have to have a relationship with them, but, you can forgive them without having a relationship, or you can work. You don't technically have to forgive. You just let it go. Don't even think about it.
Everything you do is a choice. It's simple as this. You can either become a victim once. You can become a victim every day for the rest of your life. Let it happen constantly, over and over. Be reminded constantly that this has happened and make it a nightmare constantly. Or you can make it you can be that victim one time, let it be a lesson, and let it help somebody else. Yeah. I truly believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that every single thing happens in our life for a reason. I believe every bad thing happens for a good reason. There is no such thing as bad things. I believe this. I firmly believe this, and you can deny it. I don't care. I don't believe in bad things. And you can say, well, yeah, okay. What about the Holocaust? Well, look far enough down and take your ego out of it. Well, I guarantee you, without something as extreme, we'll say as extreme as the Holocaust, if the Holocaust didn't happen, America wouldn't be here.
Yeah, we wouldn't be the country we are.
Think about that. We wouldn't have started worrying about Nazis.
Yeah, we wouldn't have started we wouldn't have gotten involved in World War II.
People
I know they say, that, Japan kicked us into gear.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to hate me for saying something like that. But the fact is that bad things would make us start thinking about other things. It makes us start thinking about other things. Every bad thing creates something else. If if what happened to me in my life hadn't happened, I wouldn't have started I would be just like everybody in my family. My mom's side of the family, they're good people.
Yeah.
I have nothing to do with them. But that doesn't mean they're not good people.
Yeah.
They really are. They go to work, or they did. They worked.
They're retired now.
They were normal people. They started their jobs at 18, 20 years old, worked for 30 years, retired, and stayed. And then they did their jobs, stayed the same thing, did that, and that's all they did.
Yeah.
They didn't do any good for anybody else, but they lived. That's all. They contributed nothing to anybody else, but they lived. That's all they wanted to do. That's great. That would not have fulfilled me, because I would not have helped anybody.
Yeah.
But I would have been just like them. If my mother would not have sacrificed her life by living a miserable life and been miserable, and if I wouldn't have had lived this miserable life in my younger years and done this, if I wouldn't have suffered that, I would not learn them lessons, and I couldn't teach other people how to get through that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to get through that.
And you may have had the victim mentality.
And I might have had the victim mentality.
Yeah.
When I became a police officer, I wouldn't know how to get through situations I did. I wouldn't know how to respond without freaking out. I don't know how to freak out. I really do not know how to freak out. I'm calm in every single... Well, you've seen me in situations that people freak out. I don't know how. Yeah. I just know how to stay calm in every single situation. I have no flight situation. It's just, this is what you do.
Yeah.
So I believe everything has a good reason why it happens. So if you can learn that, what I figured out when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I figured that lesson out, that everything has a lesson to it. And so it helped me from becoming suicidal because of my younger life. My brother and sister didn't learn that. My brother ended up in prison. My sister ended up in drugs and everything. Luckily, she didn't end up in prison. She just became a Jehovah's Witness.
Went from one extreme to another.
Yeah, which happens a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
It does. And she ended up in the mental wards and stuff like that, and living off the government. And I ended up trying to be a police officer and trying to do this and trying to do that, but I tried to learn from everything, and then I tried to start this podcast. I'm trying to teach people.
Yeah.
Don't be a victim.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I don't have as much experience with trauma as you. I mean, mine is a little different, or a lot different, but I can still relate to some people when it comes to theirs. Mine is a little, like I said, it's different, but finding my dad's dead body when I was 16 is a big one. That used to bother me big time. I used to, have a lot of hard time talking about it. I worked through it. And it's sad as it is, I didn't talk to my Aunt Heidi for a very long time after my dad died, because she had asked me at his funeral. I was 16, okay? She asked me at his funeral if there was a hole in his head. And so I didn't talk to my Aunt Heidi for a long time, but when I was younger, I didn't realize it was because my mother was telling everyone that my dad had had a stroke and died from a stroke. But the truth was, yes, he was having a stroke, but he shot himself while having that stroke. And so I was, upset for a very long time.
You also didn't realize that she was a habitual liar.
Yeah, I was still, under her thumb. And so it's what I'm trying to say is, using your experience to help somebody else out or to talk to somebody else, you know, can help with your own issues that you're having where you've been traumatized or had, where you're not using that to make yourself a victim. You're using it to help someone else and help yourself at the same time.
And that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, and it's not, and we all have our issues. That's the thing, is we all have our issues. Instead of being victims, like, you didn't just have that. I mean, your mother was a narcissist, is a narcissist.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't going to go into that because that's different.
True definition. But that's the thing, is that we all have our issues. Everybody has our issues. And that's why I say relative. Just because one person has something that seems really extreme, bad is bad. I mean, I remember when we first got together and first few years, I mean, you still have a habit of saying it. It's like, you'll say my back hurts, but then you'll say, I know it's not nearly as bad as yours. Well,
yeah, I mean,
relative is relative.
I still have issues, but I'm working through them.
I'm conditioned for my back to hurt certain ways and be used to it. I'm conditioned for it. So it's not going to be as bad as you, so if you're not trained for pain, then it's going to hurt worse. It's going to bother you. So, you can't say, well, this person, they don't know what it's like. Well, you're right. They don't know what it's like. So it's going to be worse for them.
Yeah, that's true.
So you've got to, you've got to open up your heart and help people, and not be a victim, to everybody, and say, listen, my life is so horrible. My life is this. Just shut the hell up. Quit being that person.
Yeah.
Quit. You're not helping anybody. All you're doing is making yourself look like a fool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's legitimately it.
Yeah.
It's just the whole thing. Like, here in Oklahoma, you hear it a lot. Honestly, you hear it more with out-of-staters than you do here. It's the Indian heritage stuff about how the colonizers took the land and stuff. I'm like, people have always taken land. Constantly.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
what
color their
natives
skin was.
were taking natives' land constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, which Indian tribe took which Indian tribe's land? I mean, it wasn't just like Brown took Brown. They weren't on the same team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that right there is racist in itself.
Yeah.
It's just it's you have to understand that we're all on the same team.
We're all there to help each other. We're supposed to help each other.
If we would just look at it like that we're all there to help each other, that we're not all victims, that we're all there to help each other and just say, hey, I'm hurting. How can you help me?
Yeah. And your own stuff that you go through, yes, helping other people is going to make you 100% better right away, but it's going to help in the long run to make you better. Helping somebody else is going to help you. It may not be instant. Some people it may be instant. Some people it may take a little while. And I mean, to this day, I still have quirks and stuff from mine that I'm working through that drive you nuts, but I don't mean to do it. It's just Bennett was in my life for 23 years before I met you. I mean, I lived 23 years of my life that way. But what I'm getting at is, you can help other people and help yourself at the same time. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be there for others and talk to others and love others. And, don't play the victim card all the time and look for help just for yourself. Help others to help yourself. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm getting across right.
Yeah. Instead of looking to be the victim, instead of looking to say, my team wins because this team is holding us down. Instead of doing that, say, hey, how do we all win? How do we make it where I can get ahead You know, how do we find the source of the problem, and
Yeah.
how do we make this get better? You know, if we can't fix the source of the problem, how do we just make it where the problem goes away?
Yeah.
You know, we just want to make this better. How do we do that? You know, because sometimes that's all it is like, you know, we can't make the source of the problem go away because we can't make your childhood go away.
Yeah.
You know, that what was.
You
And we,
can't change what happened, but you can change the way
you
it
know,
affects you and how it affects others in
yeah,
your life.
yeah, we can't change your childhood. That sucked.
Yeah.
You know, but that it wasn't because of somebody else. You know, so quit blaming that somebody else.
I mean, somebody else may have had something to do with how it was, but
Yeah,
quit
but it wasn't
putting it
that
all on them
person.
that's holding
It
on
was
to it.
it was that person.
Yeah.
So quit blaming them, you know, for that person's
Yeah.
fault. You know, it's you got to just start taking accountability and giving the responsibility to the right people, and not making it a race thing, not making it a religion thing, not making a. I mean, people are always trying to put it on some group, and I've never, you know, rarely is it a group's fault, you know, but people like to blame it on groups. And, you know, this group mentality is just all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just, you know,
Pitting
it's just ridiculous.
pitting one group against another, all it does is divide people even more.
You know, that's why I'm like, listen, I believe in God. And I believe in helping people. I believe in loving people. You can judge me for whatever you want. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you say that I'm retarded. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you say I shouldn't use the word retarded. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you judge me for saying any words. I don't care. You can say that I'm anything actually about me. You know, I can use the words against you. I'm like, hey, I'm autistic, so you can say, I'm like, hey, you're judging me because I'm autistic, so there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, everybody wants to get offended again from everything. I can use the words against you.
Yeah.
Stop. Quit being oversensitive. It's enough. It's enough. We're tired of it. The world is tired of the oversensitive bullshit.
And trying to control what people say.
We're done with walking on eggshells. It's time just for humans to be humans and realize that nobody's perfect. We're gonna make mistakes. We're just gonna try to be good humans. Try to love each other. Stay in peace. Stay in love. Hey guys, I want to personally thank everyone for liking and sharing my videos. Uh, if you want to continue to see my content, all you got to do is press that subscribe button, and I'll notify you as soon as a new video comes out. I don't get paid for any of this. So if you want to buy some of my merch, like my shirts, like Jesus is a Badass or my Don't Be a Dick shirt, you can easily go to my merch store, which is at sogtv.org, which I will have it in the description at every video. So push that, go buy yourself a shirt. I appreciate it. Have a blessed day, and I will see you at the next episode. Thank you.